When I was first learning about this stuff, the term encapsulation sort of scared the crap out of me. Just too many syllables for where I was at in my learning. But like most things, once I reviewed it a little bit more, I realized it's not the most complicated thing in the world. So let's continue this person example. If I scroll down, we can instantiate the person, we can set their age to 30, and we can fetch their age. So if we run this, we get 30 times 365. That's how old they are in days. But like we reviewed, we have one problem here. Right now, our entire class is composed of public properties and methods. And this is bad. Ideally, we want to hide as much information and behavior as we possibly can. That's the rule. So in this case, yes, we have getters and setters. However, I can override that by accessing the property directly. So if I set their age to 8, well, no longer do we have the luxury of the setter here. We're bypassing that entirely, which means if we run this, yep, we've overridden that value. Definitely not something we want. So instead, we are going to leverage encapsulation. Think of it as creating a black box around your object, where you only expose the methods and behavior that are appropriate to them, or in other words, that are relevant to the public interface. Before we continue on with this, let me show you a quick example to illustrate that. Think of something as simple as a light switch. Class switch. Now, from the perspective of the user, really all they need to do is turn the switch on or off. So that means the public interface would be something like on and off. So if we translate this back to code, when they call the on method, that will turn the light on, and when they call the off method, that'll turn it off. But here's the thing. We know that in reality, you can't just do all the work within the on method. There's probably a lot of little things that need to happen. So likely, you have all of these additional methods that you will end up calling from your public interface. Maybe there's some kind of connect method that will hook up to the light source. Maybe you have some activate method. You get the basic idea here. Now the problem is these methods, once again, are public. So that means the person who uses our switch will have access to them. Switch equals new switch and switch connect. That is not what we want. If you think about it, they never even need to know that these methods exist. Once again, they have absolutely nothing to do with the public-facing interface. So this is exactly where encapsulation comes into play. We are concerned with hiding information, or like I said earlier, creating a black box around our object. Now the solution is pretty easy. All we have to do is change these methods to either protected or private. And there's only one small difference between the two. If we say private, that means this method may only and exclusively be accessed from within this switch class. That means if we try to call the connect method, well, with this change, we'll get an error. Let me show you. We run it and we get unexpected. Oh, that's just because we called it switch. That's a reserved word, so we'll switch that out for light switch. Okay, sorry about that. We run it again, and now we get call to private method. So think of it as we don't have permission to access that method. But if we bring it back to public, now we're saying that we do have access. We run it, and we get no error. Now, what about protected though? Like I said, this is mostly the same. So if we run it again, yes, we get that same fatal error. But the difference is I can extend this class. Now, we haven't yet reviewed inheritance, so if this seems confusing, don't worry, we'll dedicate an entire lesson to it. But basically what this means is, if I extend the light switch class, well, I can still access these methods from that subclass. However, to bring it back to private, well, in this case, even if I extend light switch, I will not be able to access these methods. But yeah, like I said, we'll cover inheritance more in a future episode. But for now, just accept that when we make these private, we are now saying, outside of this class, nobody may have access to this property or method. And by doing so, we are hiding information. So let's bring back that person class. like so. And if we scroll down, we had this issue where we could update John's age directly, and as a result, bypassing this entire bit of logic here. We don't want to allow that. So, using our new training, if I scroll up, all I need to do is update the visibility of age. And we'll do name at the same time. Update these to private. And that's it. So now, if we try to run this again, we'll get an error. And this is good. This is exactly what we want. Hey, you're trying to update or access this private property, but the value or contents of this property are none of your business. Instead, use the public interface that we offer to you. And really, guys, that's encapsulation in a nutshell.